The sun rises over the hills of Napa Valley, bathing the vines of Sol y Tierra Vineyard in a golden glow. Heavy, ripe Cabernet Sauvignon grapes glisten with morning dew. On the porch of a single-story home nestled within the vineyard, Isabel Lopez, 55, a Latina woman with gray hair tied in a loose bun, holds a cup of coffee. Her hands, calloused from decades of pruning, rest on a wooden table. The scent of damp earth mixes with the aroma of fresh coffee, and birdsong echoes in the distance. A framed photograph captures a moment from the past. Isabel smiling beside Caleb at age 5, both laughing among the vines. Isabel murmurs to herself with a tired smile. 30 years, and I can finally rest. She closes her eyes, dreaming of quiet afternoons spent painting watercolors or reading under the sun. Simple joys she never had time for. At 55, Isabel runs Sol y Tierra Vineyard, the lifelong dream of Lorenzo Bonar, the Italian winemaker who treated her like a daughter. She raised Caleb, her orphaned nephew, giving up her own desires to provide him a better life. Every vine, every bottle of wine carries the weight of her years of labor. The marriage she never had, the dreams she set aside. But today she feels a spark of hope ready to pass the torch. The front door creaks open, breaking her thoughts. Caleb, 30 years old, tall, with slicked back hair and an expensive suit that feels out of place, steps onto the porch. Beside him is Ava Prescott, 28, blonde, flawless in a white linen dress, her manicured nails catching the sunlight. Her eyes scan Isabel with thinly veiled contempt, hidden behind a cold smile. Caleb speaks, his voice tense. "Aunt Isabel, we need to talk." Isabel, surprised but warm, replies, "Of course, my dear. Want some coffee? The grapes are beautiful today, I can pick a few." Ava cuts in, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "No thank you. This is serious. Caleb told me you're thinking about retiring." The air grows heavier. Isabel takes a deep breath and straightens in her chair. Her voice is steady, filled with quiet hope. "I gave everything to this vineyard, Caleb. To you. I worked for 30 years, raised you, paid for your schooling, built this place into what it is. But now at 55 I want a little time for myself. You're young, you can run the vineyard. Lorenzo always said you had potential." Caleb exchanges a glance with Ava, who crosses her arms, her nails gleaming like tiny blades. Influenced by her sharp gaze, he tightens his lips and says with a tone that mixes disdain and authority, "Retire? You don't get to walk away, Aunt. This vineyard belongs to all of us, but the work? That's yours." The words cut like a knife. Isabel's chest tightens, her eyes welling with tears. She looks at Caleb, searching for the boy she raised, but all she sees is a stranger shaped by Ava's ambition. "Don't get to?" Isabel whispers, her voice trembling. "I raised you like a son, Caleb. I turned this vineyard into a home for both of us." Ava lets out a dry laugh. "You're good at what you do, Isabel. Why stop now? The vineyard needs you working." "Of course. Not daydreaming." She pulls out her phone and taps the speakerphone. The voice of Helen Prescott, Ava's mother, booms with authority. "Isabel. Be reasonable. You're a worker, not an owner. Know your place, or Caleb will need to secure his future another way." The humiliation lands like a punch. Isabel grips her coffee cup, her knuckles whitening. For a brief moment the scene fades into a memory. A younger Isabel teaching 7-year-old Caleb to harvest grapes under the Napa sun. He laughs, his hands dirty with soil, and says, "You're the best aunt in the world." The memory fades, replaced by a crushing present. Caleb now avoids her gaze. Ava smiles with satisfaction, adjusting her hair in a practiced move. They walk off the porch, leaving Isabel alone, her coffee growing cold on the table. As the sun begins to set, casting orange hues across the vineyard, Isabel walks into the Sol y Tierra cellar, her heart heavy. Golden light filters through dusty windows, illuminating stone walls and oak barrels. The scent of aged wood and ripe grapes surrounds her, like the echo of Lorenzo's voice. On a shelf, a faded photo shows Lorenzo Bonar, his kind eyes beside Isabel, both holding a 1995 bottle of Sangiovese, the first wine they made together. Next to the photo, an aged envelope marked with Lorenzo's handwriting catches her attention. Isabel gently touches the envelope and whispers, "You believed in me, Lorenzo." A tear rolls down her cheek, but her eyes begin to burn with determination. The pain of Caleb's ingratitude and Ava's manipulation cuts deep, but the envelope seems to pulse with promise. Isabel presses it to her chest, feeling that Lorenzo is still guiding her even from afar. Night falls over Sol y Tierra Vineyard. On the porch, Isabel gazes at the darkened vines beneath a sky full of stars. The sound of wind in the leaves is like a whisper of hope. The woman who gave everything for her family is about to stand up, for herself and for her dreams. If you believe in the power of stories that heal, inspire, and remind us of our worth, subscribe to the channel. Help me reach my goal of 500 subscribers. Every new subscriber helps more women find courage, faith, and a fresh start. Let's grow together. Morning breaks over Napa Valley, the sun gently caressing the vineyards as Cabernet Sauvignon grapes glisten in the soft light. The scent of damp earth dances in the air. In the kitchen, Isabel Lopez shapes tamales with her calloused hands, her grandmother's recipe, passed down like a sacred thread. Steam rises from the pot, carrying with it memories of family, of strength. On the table rests Lorenzo Bonare's envelope, found in the wine cellar the night before. His elegant handwriting promises answers. Isabel takes a deep breath, the sting of Caleb's betrayal still weighing on her heart. Yesterday, her adopted nephew, now shaped by Ava Prescott's manipulation, told her, "You don't have the right to stop, Aunt Isabel. This vineyard is ours, but the work is yours." And then Helen Prescott's voice, cold and commanding over speakerphone, "You're a worker, not an owner." But the envelope in front of her feels different, like a lifeline. She carefully opens it. Inside, a letter and several aged documents. As she reads, she can almost hear Lorenzo's voice whispering through the paper. "My dearest Isabel, you are the soul of Sol y Tierra. Your passion turned my dream into reality. That's why I leave this vineyard to you. The land, the cellar, everything we built together. Take care of it as you took care of me." The documents confirm it. Lorenzo Bonar, who passed away 2 years ago, named Isabel as the sole heir to the vineyard and winery, now valued at $10 million. A tear rolls down her cheek, but a determined smile follows. Lorenzo, her mentor, her father figure, believed in her not just as a worker but as the rightful owner. The phone rings, breaking the moment. Helen Prescott again. Her voice slices through the silence. "Isabel, I hope you've come to your senses. The vineyard needs you in the fields, not in the kitchen making tamales. My attorney can make sure everything stays the way it should." Isabel grips the receiver, her voice steady but fierce. "You're wrong, Helen," she says. "This vineyard is more mine than you could ever imagine." He hangs up. The sound feels like dropping a weight. She's not just the vintner pruning vines anymore. She's Lorenzo's heir. And she's ready to fight. As the sun climbs higher, Isabel walks to a boutique hotel in Yountville, a charming haven with lavender patios and cafe tables where the scent of fresh coffee blends with blooming flowers. She's here to meet Carlos Morales, a well-known sommelier in Napa, 35 years old, Mexican, charismatic, respected. Carlos greets her with a warm smile and a voice that carries stories of his family in Jalisco. "Señora Isabel, Señor Lorenzo's 1995 Sangiovese is still legendary. What brings you today?" Isabel lays the documents on the table. Her voice is steady, filled with quiet emotion. "Lorenzo left me the vineyard, Carlos. $10 million in land and cellar. But Caleb and Ava, with Helen pulling the strings, think they can keep me working like a servant. I need allies to defend what's mine." Carlos nods, respect lighting his eyes. My abuela used to say, La tierra no miente. The land doesn't lie. You are the heart of this vineyard, Isabel. You can count on me. He suggests announcing the inheritance at the Napa Wine Fair, a prestigious event where the elite of the wine world gather. There everyone will see who truly owns Sol y Tierra. As they speak, a warm breeze carries the sound of a distant guitar playing a soft Latin melody. Isabel feels the strength of her roots. She agrees with Carlos. The fair will be her moment to rise. But from a distant table a shadow watches. Helen Prescott, glass of champagne in hand, eyes cold as stone. She murmurs into her phone and Caleb's name drifts on the wind. The day ends with Isabel back home, standing on the porch of Sol y Tierra. The vineyard stretches before her in the orange glow of sunset. The scent of ripening grapes surrounds her. She holds Lorenzo's letter to her chest. The woman who once gave everything for her family now holds her future in her hands. But what awaits her at the Napa Wine Fair will test her courage like never before. Soft jazz flows through the air, blending with the hum of voices. Winemakers, critics, and tourists, all drawn by the prestige of the event. The scent of fresh grapes and oak lingers as a warm breeze sways the string lights hanging from the trees. At the center of the fair, Isabel walks with purpose. Her beige linen dress is simple, but her presence radiates quiet strength. At her side is Carlos Morales, the Mexican sommelier, his warm smile steady, holding a folder that contains the documents confirming Lorenzo Bonare's inheritance. Isabel carries more than papers. She carries the weight of Lorenzo's final letter, the one that revealed her $10 million inheritance. The lands and winery of Sol y Tierra. Today is the day she proves she's more than a laborer. Carlos points toward the main stage where Napa's wine elite gathers. Let's show them who truly owns Sol y Tierra, he says, voice full of conviction. Isabel nods, feeling her roots stir within her. The land of her ancestors taught her to fight. But then the crowd shifts. A sharp voice pierces the air. Ava Prescott, flawless in a green silk dress, steps onto the stage with a microphone. Her eyes gleam with malice. Ladies and gentlemen, beware of imposters, she announces. Isabel Lopez, a simple winemaker, is spreading lies about owning the Sol y Tierra vineyard. Everyone knows she's just an employee. Gasps ripple through the audience. Eyes turn suspicious and curious. Caleb, standing beside Ava, avoids Isabel's gaze. His face is tense, the weight of Ava's influence heavy on him. Isabel feels her stomach twist, the humiliation burning like spoiled wine. But she lifts her chin and steps onto the stage, Carlos right behind her. The crowd quiets, waiting. She takes the microphone, her voice calm but filled with emotion. I didn't come here to lie. I came to honor Lorenzo Bonner, the man who built Sol y Tierra and treated me like his own daughter. She raises the inheritance documents, the sun catching their edges. Lorenzo left this vineyard to me. $10 million in land and winery. I am the heir. And no one can erase what I built with him. Carlos opens the folder, revealing Lorenzo's signature. His voice is steady and warm. Senora Isabel helped shape what Sol y Tierra is today. That legendary 1995 Sangiovese you all love? Her hands brought it to life. A few in the crowd begin to clap. Ava interrupts with a mocking laugh. Forged papers. A worker like you would never be chosen by Lorenzo. You don't belong on this stage. Nearby, Helen Prescott watches from a booth, signaling to a man in a suit, the family's lawyer, who whispers something about contesting the inheritance. Isabel feels her anger rise, but she steadies herself, remembering Lorenzo's words. Your passion is the soul of this vineyard. She looks out at the crowd. You know Sol y Tierra. Every bottle of Cabernet, every vine carries my sweat and my heart. Ava and Caleb live off my labor, but they've never touched the soil. So let me ask you, who here believes that the truth lies in the land? The The crowd erupts in applause. Glasses lift in a toast. A well-known wine critic holding a glass of Chardonnay shouts, "Isabel Lopez is Napa." Ava, humiliated, storms off the stage, dragging Caleb with her. He mumbles something no one catches. Helen's face flushes with fury. She turns sharply to the lawyer beside her, demanding action. Carlos places a reassuring hand on Isabel's shoulder. "You won today, Senora Isabel." But they're not done. As Isabel steps down from the stage, her heart beats fast. The crowd surrounds her, offering kind words and raised glasses. An older woman, her face lined with grace, gently takes Isabel's hand. "You remind me of my mother," she says. "She never gave up either." Isabel smiles, feeling the strength of all the women who've quietly fought before her. The sun begins to set, bathing the fair in hues of amber and rose. Isabel and Carlos walk through the booths, jazz still playing softly in the background. She clutches the documents to her chest, knowing this was only the beginning. Ava and Helen are already plotting in the shadows. A new challenge awaits. And with it, a chance to show the world what Sol y Tierra truly stands for. Candlelight flickers from crystal chandeliers, casting soft shadows across the dining hall of a grand estate in Napa Valley. Round tables draped in linen glow under the warm light, adorned with crystal glasses and fine porcelain. The air is rich with the scent of Sangiovese and spices. A string quartet plays a gentle melody as a small group of guests, wine tycoons, critics, and investors, speak in hushed tones. Isabel enters the room, her deep red dress catching the light like the ripe vines of Sol y Tierra. In her hands, a special bottle of Sangiovese, crafted in honor of Lorenzo Bonar. In her pocket, the letter confirming the $10 million inheritance he left her. She knows tonight is more than a gala dinner. It's her chance to solidify the legacy of Sol y Tierra, after silencing Ava Prescott at the Napa Wine Fair. But at the center table sits Helen Prescott, draped in diamonds, a cold reminder that the battle isn't over. Isabel hands the bottle to Carlos Morales, the Mexican sommelier, who presents it with his usual warmth. This Sangiovese, crafted by Dona Isabel, is the soul of Napa. Taste the dream of Lorenzo Bonar. Glasses are raised. The candlelight dances through ruby red wine. But one man, introduced as a European sommelier, stands with a sneer. This wine is mediocre. Unbalanced notes. Amateurish. It doesn't belong in Napa. A murmur sweeps the room. Uncertainty. Isabel spots Ava and Caleb at Helen's table, exchanging smug glances. She realizes the truth. The man is a fraud planted to sabotage her. Isabel takes a breath. The fire of her Latin heritage pulses through her. "Sir," she says calmly, "if you're an expert, let's do a blind tasting. Choose the real one." Carlos moves swiftly, covering 3 bottles, pouring her Sangiovese and 2 others. The imposter hesitates, fumbling vague descriptions. Isabel steps forward, pointing without hesitation. "This one, rich cherry, a whisper of oak born from Sol y Tierra's soil." He stammers, caught. Laughter breaks the tension. Glasses are lifted again, this time in her honor. Helen slams her hand on the table, but Isabel doesn't flinch. She walks to a respected investor, a quiet man with kind eyes. From her pocket she draws Lorenzo's letter. In a soft voice she reads, "Isabel, your passion is the soul of this vineyard. You are my heir because the land chose you." The investor nods slowly, moved. "I want to back Sol y Tierra," he says. "Your wine, your story, it's unlike any other." Dinner continues. Then Isabel brings out the final touch, dessert. Flan with a red wine glaze, a recipe from her childhood, rich with her heritage. The guests sigh with delight. Carlos raises his glass. "You've turned this night around, Dona Isabel." Ava and Caleb slip away defeated. Helen stays behind, whispering angrily into her phone. The night winds down. Isabel steps onto the balcony, gazing out at the dark hills of Napa. The scent of Sangiovese lingers in the air. She clutches Lorenzo's letter close to her heart. Sol White Tierra is hers. But one final test remains. And this time the whole world will be watching. After exposing Caleb and Ava's sabotage at the gala dinner, Isabel faces one final challenge to seal her legacy. Guided by the quiet faith that carried her through every battle, Carlos Morales, the warm-voiced Mexican sommelier, enters the wine cellar on Isabel's estate. He's accompanied by a sharp-suited attorney and two local allies, an elderly winemaker and a shopkeeper from Yountville. "Dona Isabel," Carlos says gently, "Helen Prescott is contesting the inheritance. She brought a new document." Isabel touches the letter from Lorenzo in her pocket and whispers, "God gave me strength to get this far. He will show the way." Her faith, rooted in the childhood prayers of her Latin upbringing, glows like a soft light within her. The cellar door creaks open. Helen Prescott strides in, pristine in a gray tailored suit, holding a document in her manicured hand. Her voice cuts through the air. "Lorenzo changed his mind before he died. This will places the vineyard under a trust, under my control." The attorney examines the paper, visibly uncertain. Isabel remains still, composed. She walks to a small projector on the table and turns on a tablet. "My friends," she says, her voice steady, "God guards the truth. And Lorenzo left it for us." The screen glows, casting soft light across the cellar. A video begins. Lorenzo Bonar filmed months before his death. His voice, rich and kind, fills the room. "Isabel Lopez is my heir. Sol White Tierra belongs to her because her passion is the soul of this land. I trust her as I trust the heaven that guides us." Isabel's eyes well with tears. The elderly winemaker murmurs, "It's Lorenzo, bless his soul." The attorney checks the video, cross-references Helen's paper and declares, "This recording is genuine. Helen's will is a forgery." Helen, pale and furious, tries to argue, but the Yountville shopkeeper cuts her off. "It's over, Helen. Isabel is the heart of Napa." Defeated, Helen leaves the cellar, her heels echoing in silence. Isabel closes her eyes for a moment, offering a silent prayer of gratitude. The $10 million estate, the land, the cellar and the house, is now officially hers. Carlos pours coffee liqueur into small glasses for a toast. The rich, sweet warmth fills the room. The old winemaker raises his glass. "To Lorenzo, to Isabel, and to the faith that binds us all." Isabel smiles, feeling her Latin heritage pulse in her chest. Every sip carrying the strength of her ancestors and the grace of God. Her allies leave with promises of support, and the cellar falls into a peaceful hush. That afternoon, Isabel stands on her porch, overlooking the vineyard. Caleb appears alone. His face is heavy with remorse. "Aunt Isabel, I failed you," he says, voice trembling. "Ava and Helen misled me. But you were my mother." Isabel looks at him, her heart softened by the faith that taught her to forgive. "God gives us second chances, Caleb," she says gently. "I forgive you. No. I live for me." He nods, leaving with a weight lifted from his shoulders. Isabel feels peace, a full circle closed. At sunset she walks among the vines, Napa bathed in gold. In her hands a young vine. She kneels and plants it in the rich earth. The scent of soil and grapes surrounds her and she whispers, "For you, Lorenzo. For God who guided me. And for me. The woman who gave everything has found peace, leaving behind a legacy that will bloom forever at Sol White Tierra." If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching.